Alright, people, peace. I'll shoot this quick video while I go get my little guy. Actually, what I briefly wanted to talk about. Now, once in a while, you get some funny ass emails. So usually what I try to do with emails, because it's kind of time consuming, it's hard to sit down first and foremost to answer every email. Just obviously it's not important. Obviously, first emails I address are clients and customers. That's important, obviously. So those are the first emails I have to go through. People that are emailing me for consultations or spiritual readings, or clients that I'm doing work with. But occasionally you get emails from people about shit that I don't really care about. And so I want to kind of explain, obviously, and the person that sent the email will have a thorough understanding. Let me explain what the channel is not, okay, just so we're clear, because I still think people get a little bit confused. This is not a conscious community type of vibe thing. Let me make this clear. Everybody does their own thing. Everybody has their own lane. This is not, I'm not interested in Moorish shit. Okay, and let me explain. I'm not interested in Black Hebrew Israelite nonsense. I'm not interested in the whole Kemetic community debate thing and all that stuff. Okay, I study that stuff. I understand the history of it. I respect it. But that is not my focus. That is not my intent. All right, that is something back in the past, years ago, that I was involved in. I know some people stumble across the channel. It might pop up in the feed with videos like that. Let me make this clear. This is not, no disrespect to Brother Sarnetta. He got his platform. He does what he does. This is not Sarnetta TV. It's not that type of platform. All right. What it is a cult, left-hand path to self-mastery, metaphysics, alchemy. These are the topics I discuss on this channel. All right. It's not an all pro-black channel. Let me make that 100% correct. We do talk about a lot of topics in relation to that, but this channel is for anybody. I don't care what your ethnicity or your race is. I don't care if you're Latino, Asian, Caucasian, European, Middle Eastern. The shit is irrelevant to me. I want to establish that, because people are still caught up in this race card bullshit. All right, and I've always mentioned and referred to one of who I consider one of my elders, Dr. Delbert Blair, and he was one of the few that addressed that. And I've talked about how he's addressed that with me in the past in many personal conversations, and he used to always say to me, what's holding black people down is they keep using this race thing as a crutch to lean on, and as soon as they figure out this is beyond just race, it's bigger than that, the better off they'll be, and things will start to change and evolve. All right, so I want to make that crystal clear. All right, people still confused sometimes because I'll get emails. Somebody's up in their personal emotions. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Look, let me again make it clear. And occasionally, every now and then, you got to do a chin check. So this is a chin check to all the motherfuckers that are not getting the message. Okay, it's not a conscious community type of channel. I don't care about your opinions on the Moors. I don't care if there's something you heard on the channel you don't like or you don't agree with. Guess what, motherfucker? Change the channel. What do you do when you watch TV? You come across a show you don't like? What do? You change the channel. I know I do. But I'd be damned if I waste my time and energy caught up in my emotions because I'm not in agreement with what somebody says. All right? Unfortunately, that message doesn't resonate with everybody, because these are individuals that are still stuck in a certain school of thought or mentality or spiritual dogma or philosophy. If you do the Moorish thing, that's what you do, power to you. But just stay in your motherfucking lane and don't interfere with what I'm doing, because I'm going way beyond the Moorish thing. Okay, if you really understood what this path was about, all of those things are what we consider the lesser mysteries on this path. That's the surface information. That's just the basic shit that opens your quote-unquote awareness or knowledge of. We're not stuck there. It don't mean you won't hear me talk about it, refer to it here and there, because, as I said, that has a connection to some of my past history and foundation. And let me make this clear. If you know me from back in the day, okay, we could sit here and talk all the Egyptian, Moorish, and, biblical, Islamic history you want. And anybody that knows me knows I can go front to back with it. But in 2019, I just ain't got no time for that shit. If you're still stuck in the Bible, you're still stuck in the Quran, you're still stuck on being a Moor, you still want to be a black Hebrew Israelite, to me, that is just simply a sign of your insecurities. That is just a sign to me of your not being able to evolve, change, and grow. Because you existed before all that stuff existed. What were you prior to all that? Okay? Because those dogmas and doctrines have a time frame on it. Okay? We could do basic fucking history, since some people are so caught up in history. When we look at those three monotheistic religions, Islam being the baby of them all, is just barely over 1,400 years old. Christianity just a little bit over 2,000 years old. And Judaism slightly over 6,000 years old. Your history and existence, regardless of who you are, goes way beyond 6,000 years. If you can't figure that shit out now, you're stuck like Chuck. Alright? The Adam and Eve story, or I should say the mythical Adam and Eve story, only go back 6,000 years. So we can go to we can turn on the A&E channel right now, and the History Channel, and you got European scientists confirming, whether it's the bones of Lucy or the mitochondria of Eve, they found, through carbon and fossil dating, bones and DNA that predate well beyond 6,000 years. So my question to all you religious people, what were the religion of those people? They couldn't have been Hebrews, being the oldest monotheistic religion, so what were they calling themselves? See, my whole point is stop getting caught up in this, I need to be exclusive to some shit. I need to categorize myself. I got to have a title. Again, to me that represents somebody that's insecure in their spirituality. You'll hear me use terms because, unfortunately, some human beings need something to identify with, but I don't really look at it as a title. When you hear the term left-hand path occult, it's just a description to define the level of information. But if you put a title on it, you really couldn't. Because this path is so vast and it covers such a wide range or spectrum of knowledge and information, yeah, you can categorize it into fragments, but in essence, you really can't put a label on truth, especially when it's personal. See, the problem is with people that are stuck in religion, they're trying to categorize all this and make it one, universal type of truth. And when you do that, there's too many inconsistencies because it's overlaid with faith and belief systems. You understand? We understand that on this path. And as I said before, if you couldn't quite get the message, if you need a description of my approach and how I would deal with things, would be from a Luciferian perspective. What the core principles of Luciferianism represent is my approach to my magic, my path, my way of life. Is it just that? Absolutely not. Because as you know me, I'm a main stickler on not being stuck in one thing. Because when you're constantly moving, changing, evolving, studying, experiencing, you're living. You're really truly alive. When you're stuck like Chuck, that's when you become religious. When you become exclusive to a Mickey Mouse club, that's when you become indoctrinated and full of dogma. So look, if you do the Morris thing, peace, love, and hair grease to you, I feel you. I'm past that. Gave that shit up years ago. If you want to be 100% exclusive, comedic, power to you, hotep, and all that good shit. But I'm not going to waste my time and energy catering to your emotions and your needs because you're hearing stuff that's stepping on the head of that stuff, crushing the head of that stuff. And I've posed to all my comedic people, how come you don't talk about Heka and black magic, which is rooted in all of the ancient texts of ancient Egypt, spells, rituals, curses. Nobody breaks down Egyptian Heka. You know why? Because they don't know what the fuck it really is. They give you some spooky, religious, who he and who. And yeah, but what is who he and who? Sia, What is all that? Can you break that down? You really understand it from a magical perspective. Because the greatest black magicians on the planet, and they were Luciferian in nature, were the ancient Egyptians. Nobody wants to talk about that, though. All they want to talk about is this fluffy ass shit. Ma'at. You must master Ma'at. And how many goddamn times do I gotta say, you cannot master the principles of Ma'at if you do not fully grasp the 7 Hermetic principles of Tahuti. You can't do it. One represents the objective, being Ma'at, and one represents the subjective, understanding it, being simply the 7 principles of Tahuti. Okay? They work side by side, people. Stop focusing on one and acting as if the other doesn't exist. I hear people here and there talking about the 7 Hermetic principles, not the way it should. And I've recommended, and as I said before, Richard K. Page's book, Encountering the Divine, which he gives a whole breakdown in that book, which we'll talk to him about on March 9th on Primordial Chaos Radio, from a Luciferian, occult perspective. Okay, that's the shit where I'm at. I want to make that clear. Just because you might hear topics in relation to Egypt, you'll hear me talk about Palo, you'll hear me talk about Santeria, Ifa, you'll hear me talk about voodoo, right? Problem is, I don't hear any of these other quote-unquote pro-conscious people talking about it. So let me ask you a question. I hear other clowns on other platforms say, again, not that I don't 100% agree with everything Bobby Hemmett taught, but I do agree with a lot he taught. But, so you telling me you got all this time and energy to talk all this history bullshit, but how come nobody talks about the art and science of African witchcraft, sorcery, voodoo, and what's that place in this whole conscious community things? You know why they don't? Because they scared. They're afraid. If they did talk about it, they would have to admit they're still indoctrinated via religion because they think that stuff is satanic. And when I say satanic, according to their definition of Satan and satanic, which is the European modern day definition of it, okay? I keep telling you people, stop being spooked the fuck out. The word Satan just means adversary. Satanist, that's all it means. If you still think in your mind Satan is some fucking horned demon with a pitchfork living in some place called hell, you're more fucking spooky than you can shake a stick at. All right? It represents an archetype. How many times I gotta say that? So I think where the disconnect comes in sometimes, people that claim that they're not religious, I'm not religious, I'm conscious. But subconsciously, there's still a lot of trauma from that religious indoctrination. They just don't know it. Okay? I don't hear anybody in any conscious circles talking about Palo, Voodoo, African witchcraft, Nindoki, Obia. Why? Why do they act like that stuff does not exist? Why do they act like that's not a reality? Why do they act like those spiritual practices go back thousands of years before half of the shit all these cats are talking about? Ancient Egypt and the pyramids and shit. Go back to the Neolithics. Go back to some of the tribal cultures, right? How come nobody wants to talk about primitive cultures? Because it's not glorious. Because they weren't, people identify with the materialistic stuff of Egypt because of its greatness, no doubt. But let's not act as if there's not other aspects of African culture when it comes to magic, voodoo, and witchcraft. Nobody even delves in that. Why do people always act like Egypt is the only great part of Africa? And I love Egypt. And I work a lot of Egyptian Luciferian magic. That's one of my passions. I'm saying that to say, but I also work witchcraft, sorcery, and African black magic. That's something I've been doing for years. Why do people act like it doesn't exist? You know why? Again, they shy away from talking about it because they're afraid. If they would be real with themselves, it's the fear of the unknown. They really don't know about it, so they really can't talk about the shit. And two, they're so busy, being indoctrinated. Look, I heard, what them brother's name? The midget. Seti and the other one sit there and Seti and what's the other dude? The one that's young Pharaoh. Okay, sitting there. He was talking about he read some book on witchcraft and it didn't sit right with his spirit. That's fucking religious. What are you talking about? But yeah, what didn't sit right with your spirit? What didn't sit right with your spirit is the fear of the unknown that was conjured up, because you were tapping into something that was foreign and unknown to you, right? You could classify it the way you want to describe it, but you never give a validation and explain what place does African witchcraft, sorcery, this stuff exists, and it goes back thousands of years. And don't give me no shit, it came from the white man and none of that bullshit, because it didn't. All right? People want to focus on shit that they're comfortable with, and they don't want to get the bigger picture of things. So I'm pretty much tired of this whole pro-black conscious, Afrocentric thing, one being centered around Egypt or Ifa, right? And this is coming from somebody that was a practitioner, initiated in Ifa. I'm past that shit, people. Okay, it's just another form of religion. You could still utilize it on a higher power if you know what the fuck you're doing. If you still think in your mind that you feel the need to belong to some group, club, organization, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, or you need to be formally initiated, that's fine. That's your personal choice. No problem. But there are others out here that don't feel that need, that don't feel it's necessary. They understand that they are the master, that the power has always been within them. Just because they don't have some title, and this has come from somebody that's been initiated in a lot of those things that I just mentioned. So I'm telling you this not just because I came to this conclusion on my own, and this is what I instruct other people that come to me. I don't tell them don't. If you feel the need and you want to go through this traditional initiation, I tell people, feel free, go ahead. But I'm going to tell you this, understand there comes commitment and responsibility with it. It's hard to be on this path and then go backwards to doing something like that. Because when you go into a traditional initiation system, you follow the rules or you don't go through. I want to make that clear. Let's make sure there's that understanding. So I tell people, and you hear me always say, when I work with clients, customers, look, it's not my job. I never tell people what to do and what not to do. That's not my job. So even if people still feel the need to be traditionally initiated, but I will tell them from my experience what to expect. It's a commitment. And I've always used the example, let's say, getting crowned in Santeria or Ifa. It's a year-long commitment, people. The ceremony, depending on who rules your head, you're going to be in that throne room for at least a week. And then, shit, you can't, in some cases, you can't even look into a mirror for a year. There's all symbolic shit, which I'm not going to get into. My whole point is, it's a year-long, there's no deviating around it when you're going through traditional initiation systems. Now, can you tap into the power of working with these archetypes without being initiated? Yes, you can. And this is what I show people. This is how I show people how to do it. And those that have worked with me know that based on the results they get. Not because I said it. Not because I got some fucking page up with false testimonials. Go to my testimonial page. Sure, I can fucking get some people to write some shit for me. That's why you don't see me put that shit on any of my pages. My work speaks for itself. If you work with me, you understand that. You understand the process. You understand how it works. And you can connect on your own level if you so choose. People don't understand that, though. People are so caught up in what such and such said or what such and such did or needs to be done this way. If that's what you think, then like I say, power to you, fine. I ain't got no problem with that. But don't get upset when you're hearing something discussed that's not in line or in accordance with your ideology. I couldn't give a shit. And don't look, one thing people will learn, and either they'll learn it either on their own or they'll learn it, taking the initiative to change and do for themselves. It's hard when you learn it on your own, in the sense sometimes life teaches you a rough or a valuable lesson. What do I mean? What am I talking about? I know people that have spent years in a particular system and have found out years later that it wasn't cracked up or what they thought it to be. And I could use, again, Ifa as an example. Look, you could either take the initiative to find these things out on your own, or you can sit around and be dictated to and let somebody else do it for you. And then you're going to find out you wasted a lot of time. And as I said before, my time is precious. I wouldn't even waste my time and energy debating nonsensical bullshit like religion and Hebrew stuff. That's precious time I can't get back. That's wasted time that I can't even get back. So I want to make sure we're clear. Understand what the objective is and what we're trying to accomplish and what we do here on the channel. Okay? It's not a Morris channel. It's not a comedic channel. It's not exclusively dealing with Ifa and Santeria, though we do talk about all these topics. But we talk about them from an occult, path to self-mastery, left-hand path perspective. Make sure we're clear on the shit. I did some videos a few weeks back on the 120 lessons of the 5% Nation from an occult perspective. And that's one of my very beginning foundations of how I, quote-unquote, came into consciousness. All right? But now I use that as a vessel and a tool to show people how you can use those lessons and look at things from an occult left-hand path perspective. If you don't agree with that or you don't see that power to you, then just don't watch the shit, people. It's that fucking simple. And I will continue to do, what it is we do. And continue to touch on topics like that. But also just to put out there, we will have next week, we're going to have Sister Raven Hecker doing on the Primordial Chaos radio show. She's going to be doing a topic on females, relationships, since it's Valentine's Day. And let's keep it real. Some of you motherfuckers still celebrate Valentine's Day, and there's nothing wrong with it. You can make magic out of that if you know what the fuck you're doing. But I figured it'd be a good time to touch on relationships, female perspectives on this path, and talk about some of the topics that are connected to that, the male-female relationship. So she's going to be discussing that on the show on Thursday, the 14th. That'll be a good show for you women. There'll be some other women upcoming in the month of March. I'll tap into that in a little bit. I'm going to bring a guest back that I had on a while ago. But we'll touch on that. I want to throw that out there. Also, February 21st, before I forget, remember Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum will be back on Primordial Chaos Radio. We'll have Brother Bal Cadman the week after that on the 28th. Richard K. Page will join us Saturday, March 9th. I want to keep reminding people that's a Saturday afternoon show, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're in a different time zone, and again, I explained, Richard lives overseas in Europe, and it's a 5-hour time difference. So it would not be, I don't think it'd be cool for me to ask him to come on our time, Eastern Time, at night, which would be 1 a.m. the morning his time. It's not cool when you got a family and things of that nature. So we had set a Saturday afternoon time that works out for both. So don't miss that show. And I keep putting his books out there. Get some of his books. I know some of you already have his books, but if Luciferianism is one of your paths that you study, you're going to really love this show, because there's a lot of good, and you don't need to be Luciferian to apply these techniques we're going to talk about. I keep saying that. You're going to get a lot out of it. Trust me when I tell you that, because the approach and the methodology can be used, on a multitude of levels. So I think you'll enjoy that show. Don't miss it. And that's going to be on Saturday, March 9th, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, so I want to throw that out there. On a reminder, the online classes that begin March 23rd. I know some of you have already signed up. If you would like the information for that, all you got to do is send me an email, which I'll give you in a second. They're going to run from March 23rd, probably. I always leave a window to go an extra week or two. I'm going to say to early May, end of April, early May. So if you want information on that, hit me up. If you want information on the ritual coming up at the end of the month, that'll be March 22nd. I'm sorry, February 22nd, and the drumming on the 23rd. I'll give you the email for that in a second that you see in the description box. And if you are interested in a spiritual consultation and a reading, either one, just specify, hit me up, send me an email. Try to give me a 2-day window to get to you. Just to cut out the bait, just let me know what time zone you're in, very important. and let me know what days and times are best for you, and then I usually shoot you some open dates that fit your schedule. So let me say that again. Just shoot me an email and let me know what time zone you're in, what days and times are best for you, and I'll shoot you an email back letting you know what I have available that works with your schedule. I like to put that out there to avoid the back and forth email, and then we can go from there. So for any of the things that I just mentioned, you could email me at khnum19@gmail.com. Again, that's khnum19@gmail.com. If you forget the email, all you gotta do is look in the description box of all the videos, and it will be in there crystal clear. And I hope this video was crystal clear. So just wanted to address that from some emails I received. If you know, like I say, man, if you're in your personal feelings, it's kind of comical to me. I'm sorry, I gotta laugh because it's really funny how people think that I would be sitting around concerned or giving two shits about their personal feelings and emotions and you know what they look. You sound like a little bitch. I don't like this. I think this. That's some kid shit. And like I said, if it's as simple as just, hey, you ain't gotta watch the channel. You know what I mean? You don't gotta pay attention to the information, because to the couple of few here and there in between, there's many more people that is reaching, and that's the key. This is for people that are on a higher level, a higher path. And just because you can't connect to everything with it and you don't understand it, it just means you ain't there yet. That's all. It don't mean it's not a reality to you. But the shit that some of these conscious people email me with, that's kindergarten shit to me that I passed years ago. Okay, so I just want to make that clear. I hope we're understanding of that, and I hope it's been conveyed. Tuesday upcoming, I posted, which I'll post in the community section, some of the stuff I'm talking about. We will continue with the discussion on Sith doctrine and dogma. This one's going to go a little more intense than last week's as far as interpersonal work. We're going to be talking about, which is a part of the Sith, path and spiritual philosophy and system, is the path of inner destruction. We're going to go into that in depth. And again, I say this is not a path for the mentally weak. This is truly an aspect that can be used for doing that personal, internal work, unlocking that inner chaos that you're not dealing with or that you're not making order out of. And that's what this is going to be about. We're going to go into different levels of it. I talked about last week, will over behavior. I hope people grasp it, how our behaviors can either help or extremely hurt us. So I hope people really dissected that video and applied it to themselves, and to maybe see what behavior do I carry out on a regular basis that could be fucking me up, could be stunting my growth. I hope people, that was the purpose of the video. I hope people can use it and apply it to themselves, because only you know the answer to that. We don't know that. We don't know everything that's going on inside of you. Only you know what's really going on. And if you were real with yourself, you would address it. Not hiding behind some fucking doctrine, I'm more, not hiding behind, I'm Ankh Ra, Hotep, whatever, all that, that to me is, people got to hide in those places because it masks and covers their fears and insecurities. So they think they're part of something special. And really the only thing that's special that they're doing is they're covering up their real chaos and their real bullshit. That's all it's really doing. They're not going to know that on the surface. Okay? So hope that's clear. It's pretty much what I wanted to convey. So next Thursday, Sister Raven Hecker, we're going to talk about relationships, male-female Valentine's Day, people. We're going to talk about working with energy, sexual energy, from a female perspective. All right. So I don't think you want to not miss this one. This will be a very interesting topic. And then we'll go from there. All right. So we'll talk soon, and I will see those that will be on the live feed this Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And just spoke with Father Sebastian. We will get him back next month. and I will post a date for that, and we will give more time for people to ask questions on the next feed. All right, peace.